to find out when the project will resume and also the total cost of the project. He also wants to know how much money had been paid to the contractor as of June 2022 and what time frame for the completion of the project is.
The second question, which is question number 306, will come from Mufumbwe Member of Parliament, Mr. Elliot Kamonde. He's posing his question to the Vice President. He wants to find out why the construction of the youth resettlement scheme in Mufumbwe parliamentary constituency has stalled, and in B, when the project will resume, and in C, what the size of the scheme is, and in D, what facilities will be provided at the scheme, and in E, how many youths are targeted to occupy the scheme, and in F, what social and economic benefits of the scheme are.
And question 307 is coming from Chinsali, Member of Parliament, Mr. Kalalwe Mukosa, and his question is divided in two parts. And this question will be posed to the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development. And in the first part of the question, he wants to know what the progress on the resolution of the conflict between community and the investor in Kasenseli gold mine in Winilunga district is. And the second part of the question, he wants to know when the mine will be reopened for operations. So that is a question coming from Chinsali, Member of Parliament.
Yes, Pauline, we have three questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74 and one committee report. This is the report on transport, works and supply on the operations and management of Zambia Airways, challenges and opportunities for the second session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Friday, 16th June 2023, and this will be moved by Shangombo, Member of Parliament, Mr. Mubika.
Yes, so what is on the order paper coming for discussion in the House today? And just now we go to the floor of the House as the Speaker's procession makes its way into the House. So for now, good morning.
Honorable members of Parliament,
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Order. The singing today was very nice. Although I could see some people were not singing. But the leader of opposition was singing. Yes, yes. Honorable members, I wish to inform the House that Crown Dental Clinic has been granted permission to conduct a free dental screening exercise for members of Parliament and staff. The exercise aims at promoting dental health care through detection and treatment of common dental ailments. The exercise will be conducted from Monday 26th to Friday 30th June 2023 from 09 hours to 16 hours. Monday to Thursday and at 09 hours to 13 hours on Friday. Interested members, honorable members, are therefore encouraged to find time to participate in this important exercise. I thank you. Matters of urgent public importance. I've seen 3 indications. We start with the honorable member for Kamfinsa. Oh, sorry. I thought it was a normal day. Sorry. We will come back to that later. Business statement. The acting leader of government business.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to give a word of congratulations to none other than His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a done deal. It is a done deal. We have under our belt 6.3 billion United States dollars in restructured debt, the debt that has been suffocating this economy. We have created by the previous regime. Fortunately, we have a visionary leader, a leader of commitment, a leader of love, who went through a lot of hardships. No road lines, yes. To ensure that Zambians have a possibility to progress and live in prosperity. This debt has been relieved from our shoulders, from the 12.8, is it? 12 point something debt that was accumulated under the previous regime. We have managed, through hard work and commitment of our President, to restructure 6.3 billion. We expect the remainder of the debt also to be restructured. We are on our way, ladies and gentlemen, to prosperity. The change that you asked for is the change that you have gotten, is the change that you deserve. And so, ladies and gentlemen, when a hunter in my village goes to hunt and comes back with bounty, there is celebration in splendor. And so I would like to ask the whole House to rise up and congratulate the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, and the Finance Minister, and of course his government. I thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. Let's get back
Madam
to
Speaker,
business. Thank you.
let me get to the business of the day. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the House Business Committee met on Thursday, 22nd of June.
Order, honorable members, order. Can we listen to the business for next week, please? Can we pay attention? May the honorable leader of government business in the House continue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the House Business Committee met on Thursday, 22nd June 2023, to determine and schedule business of the House for the period 27th to 30th of June 2023. In this regard, Madam Speaker, the committee resolved to lay before the House the following business for consideration. A, announcements. The Honorable Speaker may make announcements to the House on any day when it is necessary to do so. B, rulings. The Honorable Madam Speaker may render rulings if there will be any. C, ministerial statements. Honorable ministers may make ministerial statements if there are any. D, private members' motions. The following private members' motions will be presented. The name of the honorable member who is going to present is Mr. C. Kangombe, MP. The subject matter is Facilitate Amendment of the Local Government Act, and the date of presentation will be 28th of June 2023. The other will be Mr. E. J. Banda, MP. Subject matter will be issue lifetime diplomatic passports to former state office holders, and that will be done again on the 28th of June 2023. E, bills. The bills listed here under will be considered. The name of the bill, first bill is the National Prosecution Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly number 7, 2023, number 7 of 2023. That will be the second reading. The stage of the bill will be the second reading, and it will be taken on the 30th of June 2023. The second is the Human Rights Commission Bill, number 8 of 2023. That also will be, the stage will be the second reading, and it will be taken on 30th June 2023. F, reports on international conferences. Reports on international conferences will be considered if there will be any. G, parliamentary committee reports. The House will consider the following committee reports during the period, and the name of the committee is National Guidance and Gender Matters, subject matter being achieving 50-50 gender parity in governance and decision-making positions in Zambia. The date for consideration will be the 27th of June, 2023. The other is the Local Governance, Housing and Chiefs Affairs. The topic, the matter will be review, subject matter will be review and implementation of the integrated development plans in local authorities, the date 28th June 2023. The other committee will be the energy, water development and tourism. Subject matter will be tourism sector development and the effectiveness of tourism in development strategies in Zambia. The date will be 29th June 2023. The other committee will be the energy, water development and tourism. Subject matter will be tourism sector development and the effectiveness of tourism development strategies in Zambia. Date 29th June 2023. The next committee is Cabinet Affairs. Subject matter is the implementation of the National Monitoring and Evaluation Policy in Zambia. The date, Madam Speaker, will be 30th of June 2023. The next committee is the National Security and Foreign Affairs. Subject matter will be performance audit report on the control of illegal migrants in Zambia. The date, again, will be on the 30th of June 2023. H questions. Honorable ministers will respond to 20 questions for oral answer as set out here under. The details of the questions are outlined in notices of questions circulated to all honorable members. Question number 381 will be taken by Home Affairs as Portfolio Minister, and that will be taken on notice of question will be on the 20th of October 2022. The next question will be 362, the number. The Portfolio Minister will be Local Government, to be undertaken on the 20th of October 2022. Well. I must correct this, but I think it was a topological error, because here it says October. I'm sorry, but obviously it should be June. So, June, correction. Okay, another correction. This is when it was issued, but the date should be obviously in June. So the next is 362. The Portfolio Minister will be Local Government, I said. I think I repeat this one, 20th of June. The next is question number 318. It will be undertaken by the green economy. The next will be 328. Portfolio Minister will be tourism. Again, to be taken this next week. The next question is 305. Portfolio Minister is the Minister of Technology. On Wednesday, 28th June 2023, the following will be the questions. 240, Portfolio Minister is Technology. 246, Portfolio Minister is Transport. 258, Portfolio Minister Home Affairs. 263, Portfolio Minister Education. 366, Portfolio Minister will be Health. On Thursday, Madam Speaker, the 29th of June, 2023, the following will be the questions. 382, Portfolio Minister 23. The following questions will be asked. 322, that one goes to the Vice President. I'm sure you are looking forward to seeing her here. The other is 337, Portfolio Minister Finance. 329, Portfolio Minister Local Government. 247, Portfolio Minister Health. and 259 Portfolio Minister of Infrastructure. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the House Business Committee and in accordance with the standing orders, Order 189-5 of National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021, I have the pleasure to present the business for next week to this august House. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The matters of urgent public importance have increased. We now have 4. So matters of urgent public importance, we start with the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rise in line with Standing Order 134, Madam Speaker, to direct this urgent matter to the Minister of Mines, and I'm assuming that since he's not around, the Leader of Government Business, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 2 weeks ago, First Quantum Operations announced that they are going to close their operations in Ndola, and over 1,000 workers, Madam Speaker, have been affected with the risk of losing employment. Madam Speaker, First Quantum Operations was the first registered company in Zambia for First Quantum, and they had operations in Ndola. Madam Speaker, with this announcement that over 1,000 workers will lose employment, some of them from the Copper Belt, across all the many districts on the Copper Belt. Madam Speaker,
Honorable Member, without cutting you short, I think that is a matter that qualifies to be asked as a question, not to be raised as a matter of urgent public importance. Please put in a question and it will be dealt to as such.
Madam Speaker, I'm well guided and I will submit an urgent question. I thank you.
Thank you. So whether it's an urgent question or ordinary question, it will depend on the General's Department to advise. The Honorable Member for Katombola.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. My urgent question of public importance goes to the Leader of Government Business. I've been receiving calls from Katombola constituency and even outside Zambia, Mr. Speaker, that the kwacha is gaining so fast against convertible currencies. Could that, Honorable Minister, mean that we are back in the Champions League? I thank you. I thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much. Yesterday, there was something asked on those lines. And I believe that since the Minister of Finance is not here, you would naturally come to brief us. It doesn't need to be prompted. I'm sure as soon as the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning comes, he will definitely give a ministerial statement on those lines, including the restructuring of the debt that has been secured. So we can leave that to the Honorable Minister of Finance. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise on the matter of urgent public importance that is directed at our able, hard-working Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. 2 days ago, the district of Kitwe rose to a rude shock after it was discovered that thieves had pounced on a water utility company, which is in Nkana Water and Sewerage Company, and stole copper cables worth millions of kwacha. And this is a plant which is supplying water to parts of Kalulushi.
Sorry, Honorable Member, without cutting you It's better you put in a question and the Honorable Minister will be able to address that issue. Whether it's urgent or ordinary question, the Journals Department will be able to advise. The Honorable, okay, thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The matter I wish to raise is towards the Minister of Education or the leader of business in the House, since he's not around.
Proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think 3 days ago, we walked to breaking news where they said, sad day for Ministry of Education. There was an incident of a break-in and arson at Kamwala Secondary School where materials have all been burnt to ashes. Madam Speaker, this is the second incident concerning schools which are being burnt by whoever is doing it. We experienced this in Kapiri, where the school was burnt 3 times. The minister had to close the school. As an educator, I'm concerned, and we need your guidance, Madam Speaker.
Again, Honorable Member for Lundazi, understand that issue is very important. It needs to be addressed, but it does not qualify to be raised as a matter of urgent public importance. The Honorable Member for Lundazi is advised to put in a question, and the Honorable Minister will be able to address that matter. Thank you. Questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74. The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. People of Chadiza asking question 304.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam, thank you very much. And thank you, Honorable Daka, who wants to find out from the ministry at A, why the tarring of township roads in Chadiza constituency have stalled, and at B, when the project will resume, at C, what the total cost of the project is, and how much money had been paid to the contractor as of June 2022, and at E, what the time frame for the completion of the project is. Madam Speaker, with your permission, before I answer the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chadiza, allow me also to join the acting leader of government business, and also in my own capacity now as acting Minister of Finance, to congratulate the President of the Republic of Zambia for making good what went wrong on the 23rd of November 2020 when Zambia became the first country to default on its sovereign debt, and thereby bringing down the Fitch ratings. Congratulations, team. Honorable Member of Parliament for Chadiza, the tarring of the Chadiza Township Road stalled due to lack of financing. The contract has actually been terminated and closed. At B, the project will resume as and when funds are made available. At C, the original contract of 18 kilometers length of bituminous standard surface road was at a cost of 118,370,863.31 ngwe. The total sum of money that had been paid to the contractor, called Avex International, was 43,535,010.46 ngwe. That is how much has been paid to date. At E, once the project commences, it is expected that it will be completed within a period of 14 months, which is 1 year and 2 months. Colleague, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. This is a constituency-based question, so I don't expect a lot of questions to come from other constituencies. The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, thanks for for that response. Honorable Minister, the condition or the situation that my constituency is facing on the township roads is not only peculiar to the urban roads, but it is also affecting the main trunk and district road. Why am I saying that, Honorable Minister? The Chipata Chadiza Road, as it traverses through Chadiza CBD, becomes an urban road. The Chadiza Vubu Road, as it traverses through the CBD, also becomes an urban road. The same applies to the Katete, Chanida into Chadiza. They all transform into urban roads or township roads. Honorable Minister, this condition of urban roads, including these roads that I've mentioned, is greatly affecting the economical standing of the constituents and the district at large. And getting such a response from you makes me as a member of parliament very sad, because the economical standing of my constituency is greatly affected by the condition of these roads. These other roads that I've mentioned, these are the roads that connect my constituency to the rest of the country. And all the works that were contracted on these roads.
The Honorable Member, ask a supplementary question. Please do not debate. Do not debate. Proceed, but ask a supplementary question.
Honorable Minister, my question is, in terms of months or time, when do you intend to remobilize the contractor to the aforesaid roads? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Rural Development, Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And thank you for that follow-up question, honorable colleague and friend. The Chadiza Township Road is not an isolated case, madam, in terms of how the program of township roads became dislocated by the very party where the member who's asking such a passionate question is coming from. The history is that in 2013, nearly all the districts in the country had been awarded a certain number of kilometers of township roads. They embarked on an overzealous and planned haphazard commitments. They signed contracts. In this case, it was AVEX International, who put in works that included and not limited to the following works: earthworks, stabilization of base course, drainage works, capestones, priming, and surface works. They did this in many constituencies, including the constituency where this minister comes from, Mazabuka. The pain that you are going through, my dear brother and friend, is the same pain that I am going through. But it's something that we have to endure. And as pain may endure throughout the night, joy comes in the morning. Just today, we've given you good information about how we have managed ourselves to do what the previous government failed to do, to restructure our debt, to give us breathing space in order for us to create some sort of leverage to attend to the very things that the government that went, and I hope it goes forever, failed to do. I beg to know.
Oh, the honorable members, let's try to work together as brothers and sisters. The honorable member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and please allow me to congratulate the giant of presidents who has actually managed to negotiate the debt without even involving any international consultants. Madam Speaker, my question is, Honorable Minister, I wanted to find out that now that the debt has been restructured and we expect a lot of money to be saved, the money that was supposed to have been used to service the debt, are we going to see any of these township roads not only in Chadiza, but including Kabwata, also Mazabuka. Whether we are
Honorable
going to-
member for Kabwata, I guided. This is a order. This is a constituency-based question. So if the honorable member for Kabwata wants to ask questions about the other roads, please put in a question. And I know that the honorable minister of local government and rural development has been here before this honorable house to give indication and explanation of what happened. The story is not the same. It applies to each and every constituency. So please, let's direct our minds to the question that is before us and ask supplementary questions. The honorable member for Seshek.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, in giving relief to the people of Chadiza, how do you respond to them using the debt restructuring that this government has so far achieved? Minister.
The honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you, honorable colleague from Sesheke, for your question. In terms of what we have just achieved, I want to state that every finishing line is the beginning of a new race. Only half of the 13 billion debt has so far been restructured at 6.3 from public sector lenders. We still have another race to try and restructure the private sector lenders, which stands at 1.3. This is indeed good relief. The immediate low-hanging fruit that every member of this House has and enjoys is the Constituency Development Fund, which is domiciled in the ministry that I'm privileged to run. I can confirm to you, Madam Speaker, and to the person who asked this question, that most members of Parliament, in addressing the issue of road connectivity and the standard of the roads, have procured earth-moving equipment. Just this morning, Madam Speaker, I am going to join my son, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Mandevu, to commission that equipment in order to make the roads in his constituency more terrible. My encouragement to the people of Chadiza. Do likewise. I thank you.
The honorable member for Mandevu is also my son. The honorable member for Jadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, we were in the process of procuring a grader which suits the kind of terrain that we have in Chadiza, hence the delay. Honorable Minister, this abandonment of urban roads has left trenches yawning for subsequent works, has left half done carriageways yawning for bituminous surfacing, and so forth and forth. So much outstanding works, such that now these works have become a human hazard to the members of my constituency. In terms of a short-term intervention or immediate intervention, less costly intervention, what does your ministry plan to do to alleviate the sufferings of the people of my constituency with regards with what I've referred to? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you very much, colleague and friend. A similar question came in the last meeting from Sioma, the MP for Sioma, who had indicated that there had been piles of laterite and unattended to culverts in his constituency where someone, as a matter of fact, lost their life. That's what I think he reported. So it is on all fours with your situation, dear colleague. Avex International's contract was terminated in 2020. Mark my date, 2020, when your party was in government. And so, what is it that we should do? We've asked everyone to prepare final accounts to close. And why we have done that, the consequence to what had been done before in contracting, over procurement, is that we are not only suffering these hazards of causing danger to road users, but we are also suffering hazard to interest on default. Most of these contractors who your party had contracted are claiming interest on default. That is already a big hazard to us. So, what are we doing immediately to sort this out? I urge you to speak to your council secretary, to use that same motor grader that you have bought, to level up and clear the piles of laterite that may have been left as a result of abandonment. And abandonment which happened in your time of these urban roads. And please, mark my words, this is not only peculiar to Chadiza. Even in the constituency where this minister represents people, a company called China Jiangsu was contracted. They left piles and piles of laterite on the roadside, some even in the middle of the road. We have cleared those to make the roads more terrible. I urge you to do the same, honorable colleague and friend.
I believe we have exhausted the question, although I see indications from several members. As I earlier guided, this is a constituency-based question. So please, honorable members, as I allow you to ask questions, remember we are talking about a road in Chadiza. The honorable member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yeah. Madam Speaker, allow me to also join my colleagues on the right on the debt issue. Madam Speaker, I almost believe that we have paid our debt. See, council is just restructuring. Madam Speaker, my question really is, I wanted the minister to be categorical. Minister, are you saying that the township project and the plan that was left by the PF government in Chadiza has been abandoned? I just want to be clear, even without using Venn diagrams and graphs. Is the UPND government shifting from supporting those plans? I know about the challenges that you have raised, and I also suffer the same. So I wanted the card. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, colleague from FERA. On a very light note, there are no boundaries in hallucination or dreaming. To imagine that a debt can be cancelled just like that, a debt that was accrued by other people. Our government is a responsible government that decided that they are going to work 24/7, 365 to restructure the debt that our colleagues left. We have managed to go halfway through it, and now they are calling for debt cancellation. I hope it was just in a jest also that he thought we'd be talking about debt cancellation. That is similar to hallucination. Dear friend,
The Honorable Minister, maybe the use of the word to another Honorable member might be too strong. Please find another word, withdraw, and use another word.
I withdraw. Madam, fantasizing is also allowed in life. You can fantasize about debt cancellation. If hallucination is too strong, I withdraw it wholeheartedly and unreservedly. But to fantasize is also permitted. And so the issue of abandonment, again, I want to just be a bit more clear. that there are many roads that were abandoned, including many roads in all the districts of this country. And so we must not take Chadiza as an isolated case. I'm sorry at the expense of repeating myself. I have to say this so that I drill the point into colleagues to understand. The situation, madam, has been dire. It has been very, very serious in terms of the malaise that this country was left with on the debt standing. And so we would like the patience of our colleagues to be exercised in full, because there's a clear route, a clear-cut route of how we intend to normalize this debt mountain, which they themselves left. And so you cannot mourn more than the bereaved. In the case of my colleague from Feira, I've already explained that, yes, we are in a difficult situation, but mourning more than the bereaved is actually a matter of melodrama. Chadiza people we love, and we will attend to them. That abandonment, again, for ease of reference and removal of any doubt, was abandoned in 2020. We were in the tunnels. In 2020, we were fighting to remove PF from government. And we successfully managed to remove PF from government after they had already abandoned many roads of this country. So they cannot be now the ones to whip us into submission on funds which they squandered themselves. Madam, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member from Sanzala.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Minister, for those explanations. My question is, as you are also receiving that shock of interest from contractors, and in your termination letters, I read part of it where it is saying you leave the road passable. What are the measures that your government is taking to make sure that such roads which were abandoned are left in a passable way? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The minister has actually addressed that issue. I don't know if the honorable members are listening or we are just repeating ourselves. I don't think we should belabor this point. Let's make progress. I know the honorable member for Solwezi East and Ibwengwa are not from that constituency, so please excuse me. We'll make progress. I know what you are going to say. Next question, the honorable member from Mfumbwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and through you. The people of Mfumbwe join many Zambians actually in congratulating this government under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema in the successes that have been made in the debt restructuring. Question number 306.
The Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business. He still went to celebrate.
Indeed, Madam Speaker, I was still celebrating. It's so exciting. So exciting. Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Member for Mufumbwe, Mr. Kamondo, asks the Vice President the following question. A, why the construction of the youth resettlement scheme in Mfumbwe parliamentary constituency has stalled. B, when the project will resume. C, what the size of the scheme is. D, what facilities will be provided at the scheme. E, how many youths are targeted to occupy the scheme. And F, what the social and economic benefits of the scheme are. Our response, Madam Speaker. In response to the question asked by Mr. Kamondo, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Mfumbwe constituency, I wish to inform the House that A, it is government desire to construct and operationalize the Mfumbwe Youth Settlement Scheme in Mfumbwe constituency. The House may wish to know that the works to construct the youth resettlement scheme stalled due to non-availability of resources. B, Madam Speaker, the construction of the youth resettlement scheme will resume once the request for supplementary funding that has been made to the Ministry of Finance and National Planning for the 2023 national budget is approved by this House. Further, the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts is also engaging cooperating partners for alternative funding to contribute to infrastructure development, which includes youth resettlement schemes in Mfumbwe. As to see, Madam Speaker, the size of Mfumbwe Youth Resettlement Scheme is 26,000 hectares of land. In D, Madam Speaker, the House may wish to note that when completed, Mfumbwe Resettlement Scheme will be provided with the following facilities: the Rural Health Center, a police post, skills center workshop, sports facilities, productional hubs for livestock and agriculture, student hostels, primary and secondary school, running boreholes, administrative blocks, and libraries. In E, Madam Speaker, the honourable members of Parliament may wish to note that a total number of 1,500 youths are to be targeted to occupy the scheme. In F, Madam Speaker, once operational, Mfumbwe Youth Resettlement Scheme will improve sustainability of livelihoods for the youths through skills acquisition, income-generating activities in agriculture and livestock production, quality health care and education facilities, and other social amenities that will come along with the development of the scheme. Further, the scheme will contribute to creating agro-business-related activities, employment and entrepreneurship opportunities. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. There is a lot of consultations which are going on. Please, if you are doing consultations, do that in low tones so that we follow the proceedings of the House. Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Mfumbwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Honorable Minister for the answers he has given to the people of Mfumbwe. However, Honorable Minister, you may be aware that in 2019-2020, in the budget, this project actually appeared in the Yellow Book, and some money was allocated to start actually implementing the same project. I wanted to find out what could have happened that even if the monies were allocated, nothing actually started on the ground. And, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business in the House.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would like to agree with the Honourable Member from Mfumbwe. Yes, in the year 1920, there was an allocation to start this project, commence the
Maybe
construction
the
of...
year is which one? 1920? 1920?
Oh, 2020. Yeah, I'm a bit ancient. I'm ancient, Madam Speaker, but we'll correct that. So it's 2020, the year 2020. There was an allocation. But as you know, Madam Speaker, these are the issues we're talking about. The mountain of debt that was acquired without prudent expenditure. And because of that, we lacked the necessary money, despite the allocation. We lacked the necessary money to be able to undertake this project, unfortunately. So there was an allocation, an estimate, but there was no physical money and finances to execute and implement this project, unfortunately. So that was the case. However, there is 50 million in supplementary funding that has been applied for, and we hope part of that money could start being utilized on this project. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister. My question may be similar to that of Honorable Kamondo, but I want to find out from your minister whether these projects on each commencement had a budget. Was there a budget that was set aside specifically for these projects to commence? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business in the House.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, there was a budget, and that is what the Honorable Member from Fumbwe asked and indicated that there was a budget in the year 2020 estimated. So there was a budget, Madam Speaker. The only hassle was that it was not supported by the necessary funding. So there was no money behind that budget, and therefore the project couldn't be executed. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And the people of Solwezi East congratulate this government for winning this battle on debt restructuring, knowing that we shall also have a share in terms of allocation to construct Mshindamo CBD. Madam Speaker, just a follow-up question. Leader of Government Business has stated about this resettlement scheme. I know that Mufumbo is intending to buy earth-moving equipment in order to open up the roads in the resettlement area. Is the ministry or the government considering to give a waiver in terms of duty-free to the earth-moving equipment that Mufumbo is intending to buy, and also to be extended to us in other
One
constituencies?
question,
Thank you.
Honorable Member. The Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business in the House.
Madam Speaker, because there were several questions and I couldn't get the question. Maybe he can repeat the question. I'll be able to answer.
Honorable Member, just repeat one question and be precise to the point.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is the ministry or the government intending to give a waiver in terms of duty-free for the earth-moving equipment that Mufumbo is intending to buy and open up the roads in the resettlement area? Thank you.
I'm sure the question is clear now. The Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business in the House.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Member, for that question. Although seriously, that's a question that should be answered by the Minister of Finance, because it's under his ambit and the jurisdiction. I will nevertheless, as government, say that yes, waiver will be given especially for these equipment. It's agricultural equipment, and I'm sure it's from CDF, and that arrangement has been made so that we buy these items free of tax. And Madam Speaker, let me take this opportunity maybe to add on the question that Honorable Member from Fumbwe asked, and to assure the Honorable Member from Fumbwe that the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts is currently in talks with the Food Agriculture Organization, FAO, and UNIDO. And there's positive indication that they will assist us, give us the necessary funding to be able to put up some infrastructure so that we can start taking care of the unemployed, army of unemployed youth in Mfumbwe. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Mfumbwe.
Through you, Madam Speaker, all I can say that I just want to thank the New Dawn government actually for providing that solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There's the last question, Honorable Member for Nyimba. You are now in Mfumbwe. What's your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the question from Soroi's East Member of Parliament, the Minister hasn't answered it. Minister, simple, very simple question. This question is even affecting you yourself as a Member of Parliament for Manyinga. The question is, these equipments we are buying, which my good friend from Kaput has also is trying to buy earth-moving equipment. Mufumbo is trying to buy the earth-moving equipment. Are you considering giving it a waiver, a tax waiver on these equipments? Because they are GRZ equipments. Simple and straightforward, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
I believe the Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business answered that question. Maybe for the benefit of the Honorable Member for Nyimba who was not listening, the Honorable Leader of Government Business can repeat the answer.
What I said is that the equipment, agricultural equipment, we are talking about resettlement scheme here. So the agricultural equipment that the Member of Parliament from Mfumbwe and Mfumbwe constituency are going to purchase will benefit from that waiver. I couldn't be more precise than that, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you very much. So in regard to the other questions that you wanted to extend, I think you can put in a question for the Minister of Finance to give some clarity on that. So we can make progress. The next question, unfortunately, the same was supposed to be asked by the Honorable Member for Chinsali, but I've still received information that the Honorable Member for Chinsali has not been cleared to be on leave by the Government Chief Whip. So under the circumstances, his question lapses. We proceed. Notes of motion. The Honorable Member for Shangombo.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House to adopt the report of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the operations and management of Zambia Airways, challenges and opportunities for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on the 16th of June, 2023.
Thank you. Is the motion seconded?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Seconded by the Honorable Member for Mbawala. The question is that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the operations and Management of Zambian Airways, Challenges and Opportunities for the second session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Friday, 16th June 2023. Any debate? The Honorable Member for Shangombo.
Madam Speaker, in accordance with the terms of reference as provided for in standing orders, the committee undertook a study on the operations and management of Zambia Airways, challenges and opportunities. Madam Speaker, the objectives of the committee study were, among other things, appreciate the benefits of a national airline in Zambia, appreciate the mechanisms put in place to ensure profitability of Zambia Airways, and appreciate the challenges and opportunities in the operations of having a national airline. I am confident that all honorable members have thoroughly read the committee's report. Therefore, I will limit my speech to a few pertinent issues. Madam Speaker, in order to help fully interrogate the matter under review, the committee also undertook tours to selected airports in the country. Allow me to now briefly comment on some of the observations made in almost all the provincial airports visited by the committee on their suitability to support the operations of a national airline. During the site visits, the committee observed that airports in Chipata, Kasama, Mfue, and Mansa are in urgent need of upgrading and renovation. Madam, Chipata Airport in particular needs to be upgraded and transformed into a commercial facility. The committee notes that the airport has sufficient space for such an upgrade. Following the donation of land to the Zambia Airports Corporation in Chief Mazimawe's area, this will open up the tourism potential and business of the Eastern Province in particular and the country as a whole. Madam Speaker, the committee's tour reviewed that most runways in the airports visited have no appropriate perimeter fencing. This poses a danger to the landing aircraft as the runways are trespassed by people and stray animals. This is unacceptable and is in direct contravention of aviation standards for commercial airports. In view of this, Madam, the committee urges the government through the Ministry of Transport and Logistics, working together with the Zambia Airports Corporation, to ensure that all the airports are urgently fenced off with the appropriate material, which is not prone to vandalism, as recommended by the aviation experts. Madam Speaker, of great concern to the committee is an aspect arising out of the partnership between Zambia Airways and Ethiopian Airlines in the ownership of the airline, national airline. For example, Madam Speaker, Kenneth Kaunda International Airport has no approved maintenance organization to provide routine maintenance works for Zambia Airways. This means that the airline relies on services provided in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. This practice makes it impossible for the enhancement of skills transfer to the local engineers and is also very costly. In view of this, Madam Speaker, the committee recommends that an aircraft hangar with necessary equipment to undertake maintenance checks that are currently being undertaken in Ethiopia should be set up at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. In addition, local engineers should be equipped with the necessary skills for such undertakings. Madam Speaker, the committee also observes that with concern that the expert agreement between Ethiopian Airlines and Zambia Airways represent a skewed contract in favor of Ethiopian Airlines. This, in the committee's view, is meant to ensure that Zambia Airways is constantly dependent on its partner for most aviation services. The contract is also designed to ensure that there is no loss on the Ethiopian Airlines regardless of the business conditions for Zambia Airways. In view of this, the committee recommends that the contract terms be renegotiated to represent a fair share of contributions by each party. In addition, when renegotiating the terms of partnership, there should be wider consultation by the Zambian government, especially with the local aviation experts with traceable record in the aviation industry, as well as experts from Zambia Air Services Training Institute. Madam Speaker, as I end, I wish to put it on record that the aviation industry in Zambia has great potential to grow. The country should capitalize on the location of the Kenneth County International Airport, which is within less than 2 hours of air travel to 8 regional destinations. This is consistent with the aspirations of making Zambia an aviation hub for the Southern African Development Community, region, and Africa in general. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I wish to pay tribute on behalf of the committee to all the stakeholders who tendered both oral and written submissions before us. We also wish to thank you, Madam Speaker, and the Clerk of the National Assembly for the guidance and support services accorded to us throughout our deliberations. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Mbawala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for allowing the good people of Mbawala to second the motion, the report of the Committee on Transport, Works, Supply, ably moved by our committee chair, Honorable Kamwika. Thank you so much, Chair. Madam Speaker, may I first of all join the nation in congratulating His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, Finance Minister Honorable Mskotwani, Cabinet, and the entire nation of Zambia for turning the debt restructuring. Hashtag Hakainde Hichilema, hashtag a prosperous Zambia. Congratulations. Madam Speaker, in seconding the motion on the floor of this August House to adopt the report of the Transport Works and Supply Committee, allow me to thank the chairperson, which I've done. Let me draw your attention to a few items that I wish to highlight. One is on the need for streamlining acquisition of foreign operator permits. Madam Speaker, we noted that Zambia Airways had struggled to obtain an operator pilot to go to other destinations in the region. It took them quite almost a year or more to get that. We are glad that it's been achieved now. I think with the inaugural flight, which we saw recently for them when they went to South Africa. But we urge government to help to obtain these foreign operator permits for other destinations so that the airline can easily move to those areas, because the instance of having a national carrier is for it to be easily take our people to, especially our regional neighbors. We should easily be going into Rwanda, we should easily be going into Maputo, into Johannesburg, into Harare, into the DRC, and many other destinations that surround us. And without these foreign operator permits to our national carrier, which is the Zambia Airways now, it becomes very difficult. So they really need help in that area. Madam Speaker, we also noted that the Civil Aviation Authority seems to have a number of bureaucratic processes which contributed to the delays of obtaining relevant permits and licenses for Zambia Airways. We call for these bureaucratic processes to be reduced in the words of His Excellency. He talks about removing rigidities. Madam Speaker, we are calling for removing some of the rigidities that hinder the operation of local airlines in the country by the Civil Aviation Authority. And we're also asking that we put up a qualified and experienced management team at the Civil Aviation Authority of both people who are experienced in pilot duties and management functions. It was observed that some of the challenges could be the fact that some of the people who are in that authority may not have experienced pilot duties as such may not be easily overcome some of the issues that arise in terms of operating air transport. The other issues on airport charges for local airlines, the committee notes that airport charges weigh down local airline companies in terms of costs. This is another area, Madam Speaker, which is costing the local airline. In this vein, the committee recommends for a deliberate policy framework that provides incentives to local operated airlines so that they can compete with foreign registered airlines. We found that the cost of parking airplanes, the cost of refueling, especially refueling, is expensive for the local airlines. And so we are calling that we need a policy that will help boom this sector, especially now that we are a land-linked country that needs to take advantage of its centerness in the Southern African region, that you can easily get within 1 or 2 hours, you can easily get to almost 10 or more destinations around the region. So let us use that as a comparative advantage for ourselves. Madam Speaker, the other issue is participation of local contractors in contractual works in the aviation sector. We saw that a number of tasks are given to different operators. I think some of the issues we had raised, for example, in the Ethiopia Airways contract, was the issue of uniforms, a contract for supply of uniforms, foodstuffs, including the servicing of the plane in Addis Ababa. And we said these must come down to Zambia so that we can create jobs for our local people. And also, we saw when we visited, for example, the Kasama airport, we saw the works which have been subcontracted to Zambia National Service. They are doing excellent work in terms of earthworks and the like. And we are saying let more works be contracted to local contractors such as Zambia National Service, and also call for the Ministry of Defense to strengthen the engineering capacity of Zambia National Service so that they can do more countrywide in terms of these works as demonstrated by the quality which they are delivering at Kasama Airport, which will allow us in July to even fly there for Kusefya Pangwena. This is the work of the New Dawn government, hashtag New Dawn government. We are going to be flying to Kasama for that kind of ceremony and many other things. That is opening Zambia. Madam Speaker, with these remarks and noting the good work that the New Dawn government is doing in revamping and having a national airline and ensuring that the various airports are functional, even my airport in Choma, which will allow us as MPs to be able to fly home and quickly do our work in the constituency and come back, is important. So a number of airports are being rehabilitated as removed by my chair. This is an excellent thing, which could not have happened in the past, but due to the vision of His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, we have an excellent son of this soil who has a vision for this country, and he has demonstrated that this country can be interlinked by having all these airports now to be functional. Kasama, Mansa, and even we are coming even to Nakonde. We'll put one there within the New Dawn period. So you are all going to be happy and you are going to enjoy yourselves. Honorable Nyambose in Rundazu, we are coming there also. Yeah, and I see you everywhere. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for this wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, but you have not mentioned the Mongo. Any further debate? The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Allow me, Madam Speaker, first of all to thank Member of Parliament and Chair of the Committee, Honorable Muvika, for this report. Madam Speaker, this report is timely, and at the same time, Madam Speaker, allow me to thank the committee for the work that they did to prepare this very, very important report. I want to begin, Madam Speaker, by indicating that for a nation to prosper, certain decisions have to be made, And some of these decisions, Madam Speaker, require that there is a lot of thought that goes into these decisions. And obviously, the aviation industry for many years, as a nation, Madam Speaker, we've lagged behind. We've lagged behind in the sense that we've not been able to take the necessary step to start. And I want to indicate and thank the previous government for taking certain very important steps. Number one, Madam Speaker, which is very critical to the success of the aviation industry, is supporting infrastructure. You are aware, Madam Speaker, that in Zambia today, we've got 3 international airports that are able to receive international visitors. We've got an airport in Livingstone, we've got an airport, Madam Speaker, in Ndola, and obviously we have the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport that is able to manage a lot of traffic coming into this country. Madam Speaker, given that very important step, it's important that we continue improving. For us to continue improving, Madam Speaker, we have to build on the good decisions that were made in the past. And that is why today, Madam Speaker, we are even able to discuss the issue of what is missing. What is missing, Madam Speaker, number one, is obviously to begin marketing our country. And I'm sure that the Ministry of Tourism, that is responsible for the marketing of our country, will take advantage of some of the already taken steps. We have the infrastructure, Madam Speaker. We have an airline which is jointly managed between Zambia and Ethiopia. If there are things that need to be done to improve that partnership agreement, Madam Speaker, those are things that I'm sure the Chair and his committee have ably tackled in our report. The point I want to make, Madam Speaker, number one, is that we can't be discussing today without looking at where we are coming from. Where we are coming from, Madam Speaker, we did not have the infrastructure. Today we have the airports. How are we utilizing these airports, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we get enough traffic into these airports? I've been in Ndola Airport before, and you find that there's no traffic in the airport. There are very few planes that are landing into Zambia. And if we can find strategies to improve the volume of traffic in that particular airport, Madam Speaker, that's a beautiful airport. What we need is traffic. How do we get traffic into an airport, Madam Speaker? Number one, we need to have enough economic activity in the country. If there's enough economic activity in the country, if we have enough people that want to do trade, Madam Speaker, there will be activity in the airport. If there's activity in the airport, Madam Speaker, jobs will be created. Our young people that are looking for jobs, those that have gone for training on how to manage planes, Madam Speaker, will have jobs to work, provided there's activity in the country. So as we discuss this very important topic, we must link it to other aspects. What are these other aspects, Madam Speaker? Number one, we need to raise our efforts in managing the marketing of our country. Is Zambia well marketed? Recently, we had an opportunity to host a Legends football match between Zambia and the Legends of Barcelona. Those are things that can enhance the image of the country to the outside world. So as we discuss the airline, Zambian Airways, as we discuss how we should have these planes maintained in Zambia, the point we must ask ourselves, Madam Speaker, are we approaching this matter comprehensively? Comprehensively in the sense that it is not just a matter of employing one engineer to repair a plane locally. The question is there commercial value out of operating an airline currently in Zambia? If there's no commercial value, Madam Speaker, what we should be discussing, and what I was expecting the report to tackle, Madam Speaker, is how do we ensure that there's enough economic activity to support, number one, the beautiful airports that have been built already, the partnership agreement that exists between Zambia and Ethiopian Airlines, and ensuring that we are able to create enough local jobs. Madam Speaker, if we don't do these basic things, even if we demanded today that out of the revenue for Zambian Airways, we get 90%. Madam Speaker, you can only get 90% of a profitable organization. Even if today we said, let's get 70%, Madam Speaker, you can only get 70% out of a profitable organization. So for me, Madam Speaker, the report deals with some basic important issues, but it will be important beyond what has been captured in the report for us to ask ourselves, how do we link the operations of Zambian Airways to ensuring that there's enough economic activity? How many people are willing today to get on a plane between Ndola and Lusaka? There are very few people because sometimes it's quite expensive for you to get on the plane. So we must tackle this issue from a very holistic and well-integrated point of view. And that point of view, Madam Speaker, is that let us look beyond the challenges that we've identified. The bigger picture is that if there's enough economic activity in our country, Madam Speaker, many people will opt to get on a plane. Why should we wait for an airline to reduce its ticket when we know that profitability will be affected? What should drive the process of a profitable airline, Madam Speaker, is economic activity in Zambia. If people are able to move between Mongu and Lusaka and there's economic value that they will get, Madam Speaker, they will prefer to get on the plane. If someone is in Mansa today and they prefer to move by plane coming to Lusaka and there's profitability for the airline, Madam Speaker, people will start using the airline. The point I want to make, Madam Speaker, is that we support the report in as far as it addresses some of the challenges. But moving forward, Madam Speaker, infrastructure has already been built. 3 beautiful airports have been built in Zambia. We have an airline that has been put in place. We can't define the success of an airline simply by forcing the airline to start doing certain things. Let's create economic activity in our country, Madam Speaker, and people will decide that it is better to use an airline as opposed to driving 400 or 500 kilometers between 2 provinces. Madam Speaker, I support the report, and I do hope that the committee has taken note of some of the issues that have been raised, and I place on record gratitude to the previous government for building 3 beautiful airports. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the people of Chilubi would like to add their voice on the issues that have been highlighted in the report. Madam Speaker, the starting point, I think, is the legal and the policy framework. Madam Speaker, we know that as we talk about aviation industry, it is also linked to other laws and the policies. Policies to do with industrial policy, national industrial policy, national trade policy, Zambia tourism policy, and national investment policy and tourism master plan. Madam Speaker, why the people of Chilubi would like to take that route is simple. We all know that market demand for air transport is low, especially that the airline in question is meant to do local trips. And if it's meant to do local trips, Madam Speaker, there is need to activate or trigger consumer behavior that goes hand in hand with the demand for air transport. Madam Speaker, among the things that have prohibited the consumer behavior to deal with the air transport is demand in fuel prices, escalating and unstable fuel prices in the country, which have, of course, has been triggered recently. Madam Speaker, if you watch between the years 2012 to 2021, you realize that most of the fuel prices were being increased 90 ngwe per year. 90 ngwe per year for 10 years. But when you look at the current fuel prices, we have had an increase of 13 kwacha just after 1 year, 4 months. And that has affected the aero market. Madam Speaker, the people of Chilubi will be missing a point if they do not address market demand in line with what goes on at airports. Madam Speaker, allow me in the interest of time to just pick Mfue Airport and Simon Mwansa Kapwepwe Airport. Simon Mwansa Kapwepwe Airport per annum only takes in 300,000 passengers on average, but it has the capacity to take in 1 million passengers per annum. When it comes to Mfue, which is more of a tourist international airport, it takes in 25,000 passengers per annum. But Mfue has better capacity than that. Madam Speaker, some of the factors that contribute to such intake is mainly back to consumer behavior. And I think the previous speaker did allude to the economic environment in the country. There is an attitude that the air transport is only supposed to be associated with Bapa Mwambas. Madam Speaker, when I say Bapa Mwamba, is an issue of where you find that certain blankets of our population are more like prohibited because of the economic blankets. Madam Speaker, as we speak, I know that today we are celebrating the issue of, is it debt restructuring? I've even forgotten. Debt restructuring. The people of Truby are expectant that certain things in the country would change so that they can also jump on the plane, because Truby, as one of the prohibitive places, and traveling to Truby and coming back, in any place, even when you are doing trade, it is such prohibitive because even the roads are not so motorable, and we will demand, we will rely on air transport, especially with the improved economy after restructuring the debt. Madam Speaker, when we talk about high aviation-related fees, and among them, ground handling, landing, navigation, and parking fees contribute to the low consumer behavior of making sure that the air transport is operating at full capacity. Madam Speaker, allow the people of Chilubi to compare the journey that Malawan Airways traveled, especially that now that we are in partnership with the Ethiopian Airways. I'll come back to Ethiopian Airways later. Malawan Airways, when it was launched, it has been posting losses until 2022, when it posted a $4 million in the treasury. And one of the contributing factor is working on the consumer behavior of the people, because the airline, just like the other four modes of transport, if you look at the other four modes of transport, the airline locally attracts the lowest in terms of consumer behavior, attracts the lowest. You have water transport being active because it includes the common man. You have road transport, which also includes the common man. Rail transport, in as far as the infrastructure may not be in tune, it's still being used by a lot of people. But air transport has got certain prohibition. Madam Speaker, this speaks to how we tailored the Zambia Civil Aviation Authority, how we tailored the Civil Aviation Act of number 5 of 2016. The restructuring starts from there. The prohibitions, maybe certifications, and a lot of factors that go in there should open up the space. Because if the airline still does not have participants in form of passengers, that is where everything starts from. And currently, the largest contributing factor is jet fuel, the prices of jet fuel. Apart from the parking fees, the landing and handling fees, jet fuel is where the problem is. Currently, as we celebrate about, I hope that the dollar will go at 5, the kwacha will go at 5, we need to handle the prices of jet fuel. And I think that's the starting point. Madam Speaker, with these few words, I would like to support the report.
Thank you. From the tone of your voice, you are really celebrating. The Honorable Member for Kaumbwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Kaumbe an opportunity to add their voice on the motion before the floor of the House, which is challenges and opportunities, the operations of Zambia Airways. On the onset, I would like to thank the mover of the motion, Honorable Mavika Mavika, and the seconder, Honorable Monsanje, for ably moving this motion. Madam Speaker, the transport, Zambia Airways, that is air travel, is a major integral part in transportation integration to every country. The four modes of transport, air, road, water, or rather sea, and rail. There's need for transport integration. From the beginning, I would like to echo the sentiments from the previous speaker for the Patriotic Front government to have actually constructed international airports using, by using the money, by using the date, by accruing date, and using it wisely by constructing the three international airports that are where? That is Kenneth Kaunda International Airport.
Members.
Kenneth Kaunda International Airport.
Order. Allow the honorable member to debate quietly. Please, let's follow. Let's not debate from our seats. We are going back to our old habits. Please, let's listen to the debater on the
Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe, and the Harumanga Nkumbula airports, constructed to international standards. In fact, Kenneth Kaunda International Airport has a new international domestic area, which was constructed at I think 360 million US dollars, and then Simon Mwasaka Pepe 397 million US dollars. I also want now to thank the New Dawn government for clinching the deal of securing 1.3 billion US dollar, 1.3 billion US dollars. This 1.3 billion US dollar IMF deal is going to assist to facilitate for debt restructuring that will amount to somehow US dollar 6.3 billion US dollars. And for this, we're looking at the challenges that are in the transport sector through the creation of the Zambia Airways. We hope to sort out a lot more issues pertaining to the operational characteristics of this airline. There's no more benefits. I mean, benefits. There are more benefits in the operation of the Zambia National Airways. Looking at the infrastructure challenges that the committee saw or met in the field, like visiting all the provincial airports, these challenges are not new. Infrastructure challenges that are existing in Chipata Airport, Mfue, Kasama, everywhere else, they are basic. And Mongo, all these are basic. We need, first of all, to integrate by improving these provincial airports, by bringing in intermodal transport arrangements. What do we mean?
we need the roads leading to these airports to be in good shape. We need also the basic infrastructure such as the runway, the aprons, as alluded to in the report, to be improved to international standards. Zambia, due to its geophysical position, is well placed to be a regional transportational hub for Southern Africa. It is only 2 hours away from all the regional capital cities of Southern Africa. And we also look at the advantage that of as a peace haven in the world. Zambia is a well-known place for tourism destinations. Therefore, we need to explore the potential through creation of the Zambia Airways. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to talk about the challenges through the contractual agreements that is there between Zambia Airways and Ethiopia Airlines. Zambia Airways struck a raw deal, as we saw in the report, that the contractual terms, in terms of the expert agreement, is favoring Ethiopia Airways rather. But there's still room to renegotiate. To renegotiate on what terms? I checked in the report that Ethiopia Airlines is gobbling $5 million, 280 million US dollars per year, regardless of the business environment in the country. And also, the maintenance of the aircraft is done in Ethiopia. Of course, this can be renegotiated, and our ZAST, Zambia Air Institute Zambia Training Institute, we should capitalize it by equipping it with the training equipment as well as the aircraft simulators, and in order to expand the clientele base, the traffic demand in Zambia, there's need that the Ministry of Tourism and Zambia tourism agencies need to cooperate with the Zambia Airways, such that famous destinations leading to tourist centers should have certain kind of agreements with the Zambia Airways, even just like government also. Government leaders, when they have got certain business trips in the Zambia Airways routes, it should be mandatory that we use the Zambia Airways. Even in the Ministry of Sports, when Zambia is going to appear in the AFCON in Ivory Coast 2023, there's need that kind of mandatory instruction that the officials, they will use the Zambia Airways. And also, even our local tours for these committee reports that we conduct, we should use the Zambia Airways. Wherever the route favors us to travel, it should be mandatory to use Zambia Airways. And to this effect, Madam Speaker, I would love to encourage that our infrastructure challenges are not insurmountable. So all the provincial centers in Zambia should have airports to international standards.
Thank you,
so much.
Honorable Member.
I submit.
Thank you. As the time is 10:40, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Well, that is an Honorable Member for Kaumbwe, Dr. Aaron Mwanza, who was just summing up his contribution to the debate and discussion on the floor of the House, and that this is the motion that was moved by Shangombo Member of Parliament, Mr. Muvika, that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the operations and management of Zambia Airways and challenges and opportunities for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Friday, 16th June 2023. And this motion, of course, will still be under discussion.
Yes, Pauline, earlier on we had indication of government business for the period 27th to 30 June 2023. Thereafter, the House considered 2 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74, and the third question, which is question number 307, lapsed. And like Pauline said, under consideration is the report of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply. And so far, that is business that has been considered on the floor of the House. For now, we take a break. Remember, business of the House will resume at 11 hours. Keep watching Parliament Television. Good morning.
My full name is Chirundika Derek. I'm Munchanga Member of Parliament and Minister for Luapula Province. I'm a married man with 5 children. My family is based in Chingola and currently serving as MP for Nchanga. Well, before I joined politics, I'd worked as one of the consultants under Trio Data Management Consultant. I'd also worked in the technical company, AutoWorld, is one of the managers at some point. Then later on moved into private business, which I'd been doing until now. I'm still doing the same private business. My constituency is a mining constituency based in Chingola, on the northern side of Chingola. And this is a constituency with 11 wards. Those 11 wards, and really it's purely former mining constituency. And most of the people who are living there are former miners, and others are still working there as contractors and any other services provided in the mines. Well, we wanted to look at a number of issues. Of course, at the time of assuming office, there were a number of challenges which spanned from health, education, infrastructure, and quite a number. So we looked at addressing the most critical one. Amongst them, we decided to renovate the general hospital and also upgrade another clinic into level 1 hospital. Then we also moved into ensuring that all the health centers and schools have safe drinking water. So far, we are done with the hospitals, we are done with the markets, except with one, and then we have moved into schools. So we intend to ensure that at the end of the day, we really handle everything. In the infrastructure sector, we've really put up a lot to try and repair some road stretches. The first 2022 CDF, the increased 2022 CDF, we allocated at least 2.5 kilometers for chip and spray roads, and even in the 2023, we've allocated another 2.5 kilometers. So that is how we are moving. Besides, there's been a lot of empowerment to the people through grants, loans, and even empowerment in terms of them participating in the projects that are taking shape in Nchanga. I would like to encourage them to come on board and continue working with the government to foster development. I would want to urge them to put the empowerment that we are giving them to good use, because it's meant to improve their lifestyles and reduce all the challenges they go through with their families.
My name is Honorable Elias Mubanga, who is a nominated Member of Parliament and who is the Minister for Small and Medium Enterprise Development in Zambia. I am a family man, I'm married, and I have kids who I love so much. And before I joined Parliament, I've been running my own enterprise, my own business. and I've run my own business for over 25 years. So I started as a micro, small business, and I grew my business to a medium business. So I understand entrepreneurship. I understand the challenges the businesses, especially small and medium businesses, go through in this country. And that's why His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia saw it fit that I'm able to run the small and medium ministry, which is a new ministry to take care of the, smaller businesses in the country. My aim is to first and foremost formalize, these informal small businesses to make sure that they register. That's my mandate number one, and that's what we are working on. And then we are also trying to make sure that we put up a policy, the policy that will address the small and medium businesses in this country, because we've never had, such a ministry, or we've never had, an institution emphasizing the small and medium businesses which occupy a bigger space in this country. Over 95% of all the businesses in the country are in the hands of the small and medium businesses. And that's why we want to make sure that they are formalized. That's why we want to make sure that the policy is there, and we give them regulations that will guide, these businesses. You see, once we formalize these businesses, then the government will be able to have, a wider tax base from the formal or formalization of these small and medium businesses. The vision is to make sure that we grow this sector. That is my vision. Meaning we must make sure that these businesses start growing from micro, small to medium. So that's my aim, is to make sure that I give guidance, I give provision, I also help, once they are formalized, we can also help them to have skills how to run businesses, and as well, for them to have access to finance.
I was born in Mongu. I started my school here in Mongu, but I did a lot of primary school in other places because my father used to be a headmaster. So we traveled a lot when I was young. But this is my home. My hometown actually is down this, my home village, Katongo area, just down the road as you proceed, as you go to Senanga. So I did my secondary school here as well, just right there at Kambule. It's one of the famous schools here in Western Province, in the entire Zambia. It has produced many leaders, national leaders. So it's not a coincidence that I'm a member of parliament, because I come from Kambule as well, which is a very key school here in Mongu. Yeah, so after secondary school, I went to university. I studied water engineering, civil engineering, and I studied, I hold a BSc honors also in construction management, and I hold a master's also in in project management, majoring in project finance of capital projects. So I've worked mainly outside Zambia. I've stayed outside Zambia for the past 26 years, almost like Mandela in prison. So yes, so I decided to run for office as a member of parliament for Mongo Central, because I used to be UPND chair for chapter chair in South Africa. I was a chapter chair for the last 6 years in South Africa. So I started entertaining the idea of running for office of member of parliament. So I came here to Mongu and I thought I came back here in 2020. Luckily for me, I was adopted. Of course, after going through the primary elections, I was adopted by the UPND party to be the MP to be the candidate for Mongu Central. Mongu Central, it's a constituency within the town of Mongu. Mongu is a very beautiful town. As you can see, we are on top of the NAPSA building. You can see the city is growing at a very fast rate. It's a beautiful city. You have the nice plain there, as you can see across. We have the big Komboka ceremony happens in this city, in this town, from the royal village of Lealui, which is situated in the plain, to the royal village of Limulunga, which is on the coast on the other side, down there. So you can see, as you can see, it's a very beautiful city. I'm very proud to be a member of parliament for Mongu Central because the people here are lovely. It's a city that was neglected in the past in terms of development. We have 16 wards, so it's quite a very huge constituency. It's one of the largest constituencies in Zambia. Being 16 wards, it's quite a large number. So even to visit these wards, it's quite a challenge because some of these wards, as you can see across the other side of the plain, it's in Tapo, it's still part of Mongo Central. So it's quite a very huge ward. We share the borders with Kalabo Central. We share the borders with Nalolo on the other side, and Luena on the other side, and Nalikwanda on the other side. So it's quite a very, very large constituency. But I'm happy to be the member of parliament because with a vast area also it comes with the potential to make sure that we use the vast land for development. We need to, because you can do a lot of tourism activities across the plains. We can do a lot of agro business, agro processing business just here along the plains and also in here inland. So you can do a lot of fish farming in the plains. You can do a lot of cashew nut and mango growing, mango farms and cashew nut farms and all sorts, and sugar canes can grow in these plains. So with the vastness, it brings potential as well, potential for investors to invest in these areas. We want to see massive infrastructure in this city, in this town. As I said, you can see the beautiful, terrain and the beautiful land it has. So I always tell the people when I campaign that we want this to be a city. We don't want it to be just an ordinary town. It has the potential to be a great city. We want to see massive infrastructure in terms of roads. We want to see massive infrastructure in terms of hospitals. We want to see good schools being built here. We want to see this city to be clean. So we want anybody and everybody who lives in this city to, to be an example of the beauty of Zambia. We want it to be a tourist city. We want it to be an agro-processing city. As you can see, we have a lot of mangoes here. We have a lot of cashew nuts here. We have a lot of fruits here, bananas, oranges, name it. We want to see the investors come into this city and invest in these areas that I've mentioned. So that will create a lot of jobs for our people. So when you have a good government and you are clear about your policies, investors are naturally attracted to the area. And that's what we want to embark on with the new government, to market places like Mongu so that the people can come and invest here. It has the best climate, the best weather here. You can tell the weather today is very beautiful. It's not hot, It's not cold, it's about to rain, but it won't rain. And that's what we want people to come and enjoy here in Mongo. So we want to see development, development, and development here in Mongo in the next 5 years. Yes, so the main challenges is lack of employment. As you can see, there are very few big companies that operate here than government offices. So a lot of people leave the city, leave this town to go to Lusaka to look for jobs. We want to reverse that. We want people to do their school here, look for jobs here, get jobs here, and retire here. So if we can work on investment, on trying to create factories and industries, then we should be able to retain the majority of people. Of course, this is one Zambia, one nation. Everybody is free to leave one area and go and settle in another area. But the important thing is that people should leave out of choice, not because they are being forced to go to another area to look for a job, for something to do. So the biggest challenge is to create is jobs. We want to create employment for the people of Mongu. There's a lot of underdevelopment in terms of road infrastructure. A lot of the major roads here in Mongu, and also a lot of the roads into the townships, into the suburbs. They are in a very bad state. So the water also, there's a lot of water problems here in the city. More water is always rationed. So we have, as a government, there's a water project that's currently happening. So by end of September, I think the challenges of water will be a thing in the past year. So hospitals, we have one big hospital, Lewanika General Hospital. It was built in the 1920s, and you can imagine the state of the infrastructure there. It needs complete overhaul. In fact, what we need is a new modern hospital in Mongu Central that can be saving the entire Western Province. We can make Lewanika Hospital as we don't have water, it doesn't have a clinic, and children are still growing up to be fishermen. 10 years, 11-year-old children have not been to school. So those are big challenges that the new government has to embark on. So with the increase in the CDF, we will utilize it very much to attend to those kind of problems. No, I just want to.
The House is still on 20 minutes health break, and business of the House is expected to start shortly at 11 hours.
Kamondo. And so just now we'll take you to the floor of the House for the business. Good morning.
Madam Speaker.
We don't seem to have a quorum yet, Matimba, and it is required that the House has a quorum before business of the House resumes.
Yes, and under consideration is the report of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the operations and management of Zambia Airways, challenges and opportunities for the second session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Friday, 16th June 2023. This is a report that has been moved by Shangombo Member of Parliament, Mr. Muvika, and it has been seconded by Mbabala Member of Parliament, Mr. Joseph Musanje.
And of course, just before the House went on 20 minutes health break, we saw Kaumbwe, Member of Parliament, just summing up his contribution to this motion that is under discussion, and others have been.
When business was suspended, the House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Member for Shangombo that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on Transport, Works and Supply on the operations and management of Zambia Airways, challenges and opportunities for the second session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Friday, 16th June 2023, and the Honorable Member for Kaumbwe had just finished debating. Any further debate? The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, indeed, this country, if we look at historical background, you discover that we were the first country in Southern Africa being a pioneer of civil aviation, Zambian Airways. We were actually doing extremely much better than our new partners, the Ethiopian Airways. But where did we lose it? You can't talk about the thriving aviation industry without looking at the backbone of that aviation industry. That is the economic performance of the country, coupled by the need to attract travelers into your country. We managed as a country to successfully run the Zambian Airways because the country owned the resources of this country through that CCM. No wonder we are saying at the time of independence, the GDP of Zambia was actually equal to the GDP of South Korea. That was the basis. Madam Speaker, among the challenges that this airways is facing is the price of jet air-one fuel, not to mention the other landing fees compared to our neighboring countries. So it's very, very important, Madam Speaker, that as we look at the operation of Zambian Airways, we should look at the holistic nature of our country in terms of its economy. Zambia has the highest number of protected areas in sub-Saharan Africa. Actually, we can even boast that the Kafue National Park is bigger than 2 or 3 countries in Europe put together. For this airline to be productive, we need, as a country, Madam Speaker, to ensure that these tourist attractions, such as the game management areas and our national parks, are developed to an extent where when a tourist comes into this country, they should be able to carry stories when they go back to their countries. By so doing, we are likely to have more travelers yearning to visit this country. And for them to do that, they need our domestic carrier to play a significant role. Not only that, my colleague had already hinted, the previous government upgraded a number of our international airports. We have a greenfield Harimwanga Nkumbula International Airport on the Copper Belt, which was built from scratch. We have the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, which was expanded. We know also that the Harimwanga Nkumbula International Airport in Livingstone was actually also upgraded. I'll be appealing to this New Dawn government. I know they have plans on the card. I was told the other day by the minister for Mchinga province that money has been released actually to upgrade Chinsali airstrip to a 3-kilometer bituminous airstrip. That is something that is welcome. But I want to request that kindly go further. There is an airstrip in Chama. Chama is one of the districts that poses to be a great potential for tourist activities. The previous government started an airstrip there. Earthworks started, but midway it was abandoned. We need such type of airstrips throughout the country. The Northern Circuit, we have another airstrip which was started there. I think as a country we need to be serious. I've learned that almost all the amounts that were budgeted for that airstrip were released. but the government is paying penalties beyond the amount that which were released for an airstrip which was not completed. So I think as a country we need to be very serious when it comes to the plans that we have in terms of diversifying our economy. This Zambian Airways will not become profitable for as long as we do not remove our people in the poverty quagmire. For people to use air services, they need to have extra income. Therefore, the first focus for this country will be to ensure that we do whatever it takes to move our people probably from the levels of poverty in which we are to middle income, even a higher income, Madam Speaker. And this is very much possible because we have everything. We sing about God. Foreigners come here, they mine our God, of course working with a few of us. It goes out of the country. We have West African brothers who have been exploiting our emeralds from time immemorial. These are things that we are supposed to be owned by ourselves as Zambians. It should not become a crime for a Zambian who has genuinely worked and access resources for his own benefit. It shouldn't be a crime, provided legal means have been followed. If anything, this parliament should start discussing means and ways of ensuring that Zambians own the factors of production. Unless we do that, we'll never have a sustainable airline or an airline which will be a going concern. Look, honestly, are we not ashamed, Madam Speaker, that we have more resources than Ethiopia, but now we are relying on Ethiopia to help us run an airline? If we are to manage our gold in Kasenseni, if we are to manage our resources on the Copper Belt, in the Northwestern Province, which we are giving away, I can assure you, Madam Speaker, we'll be able to buy these Boeing or Airbus big aeroplanes without even looking for debt or credit. I know honorable ministers are very happy about the debt restructuring. We are all happy. But the question that I want to ask our colleague is, this will come with its own conditions. And among the conditions that for the first time, we'll start paying interest, which we have not been paying. Have we started preparing Zambians to understand these technicalities? Otherwise, for Zambians, when they hear debt restructuring, they think now there will be money free for all. But that is not the situation, Madam Speaker. For me, I want to conclude by saying, can we build our economy so that our airline can depend on us? I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister for Southern Province.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity that I may add our voice on the motion on the floor of the House in support thereof. And I would like to pick it up from where the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chama South ended on the question of debt restructuring. And want to indicate that whereas it is a pleasant moment for us as a people in Zambia to celebrate debt restructuring, it is only to the extent that we have trusted and good, prudent leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, which the international community has trusted so that we can now attain this feat. But we should also not forget to say, how did we get here? That question must accompany this celebration. We had issues, Madam Speaker, here where 750 million US dollars Eurobond was borrowed, and members of the previous administration on the floor of this house were dancing here, celebrating acquisition of debt, and told us they were going to restructure the railway line. And to date, Madam Speaker, we have not seen even one single rail sleeper being worked on. We are talking about transportation.
Order. The honorable member from Pika, you just have to indicate, instead of continuously saying point of order, point of order, point of order, because there's somebody on the floor. I heard you once, the first time you indicated to say point of order, I heard you. So there's an indication for a point of order. What is your point of order, the honorable member for Mpika?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise on a point of order pursuant to Standing Order number 65. Madam Speaker, the report is very clear. We are debating. The House is considering the report presented by the chairperson of the Transport, Works and Supply Committee on the Zambia Airways and other infrastructure in the aviation sector. How then have we found ourselves discussing the debt? Madam Speaker, I seek your serious guidance, whether other debaters who are coming should debate debt or the report. Which one is which? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much for that point of order. In fact, both debaters brought in the move away from the report. Let's concentrate on the report. The Honorable Minister for Southern Province will continue with that guide.
Thank you very much for the guidance, Madam Speaker. I had indicated that it was a prelude to my submission, but I understand the vagaries of a foreign language. Madam Speaker, let me now zero in to my substantive submission this morning by beginning to acknowledge and commend the previous administration of the Patriotic Front for the conceptualization to have upgraded a number of our aviation infrastructure. For instance, Madam Speaker, to give a bailout on. This is the money we should have used prudently.
Order, Honorable Minister. There is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu, what is your point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I raise this point of order pursuant to Standing Order 65, 1A and B. Enough platform to speak in this August House.
Honorable Minister, I think that is enough. We've gotten the point
I
of
seek your
order.
serious guidance, Madam Speaker.
Yes, let's not discuss ourselves. In that manner, we are one. The Honorable Minister for Southern Province, you mentioned an amount. Do we have evidence of that? If we don't have evidence, I will advise the Honorable Member, the Honorable Minister, as he goes on in his debate, if there are mention of any figures which are not contained in the report, we shall need evidence for that. So for that, Honorable Minister for Southern Province, please let's try to stick to the report. I'm sure there are a lot of figures that are mentioned in the report which we can make use. However, if you've got evidence of any report with figures, please, you can lay it on the table so that we continue with your debate. So with that guide, Honorable Minister, may you please continue?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And the points the amounts I'm making reference to are in public domain. For instance, Madam Speaker, the upgrade for Ndola Airport. is in the region of 400 million United States dollars. Then you compare the upgrade of Mulungushi International Conference Center, that new facility, and all the state-of-art infrastructure that has been put there, a donation worth 60 million United States dollars. Look at the quality that is at Mulungushi, then look at the quality that is at these airports, and look at the amounts differential. You can now be able to be on firm ground to say those prices were highly inflated. If Mulungushi was not a donation, we could have been talking about a different amount of money, huge, 200-300, but 60 because it was a donation. This PF government was an extravagant government. And we are bringing out these issues so that the UPND government does reflect the actual, commercial pricing. And that is why today, as we speak, this PF administration left this country to the tune of more than 700 million United States dollars in debt to OMCs. Politics of appeasement should have no more place in Zambia. And that's why we need the UPND administration to continue. And that is why you have seen. We have now, Madam Speaker, a country that is on the move. Not too long ago, President Hakainde Hichilema, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, assured the Chitmukuru that Kasama Airport will be worked on. As we speak now, it has already been worked on. I have reliable information that it is being worked on to become a regional hub. Kasaba Bay airstrip is being, worked on. A number of airstrips are being worked on to be terminus standards. Not too long ago, we went to Nchwala, Madam Speaker, Chipata Airport, where we were told there is a lot of work happening in Chipata. So many potholes and animals were crossing. We were lucky to have landed safely. This, notwithstanding, Madam Speaker, this administration of PF left this country in huge debt. But they are the first ones today asking us questions. Where is milling meal for 50 kwacha? Where is fertilizer for 250 kwacha? They have forgotten about the debt they left, which they should have addressed to the critical infrastructure in the aviation sector. Madam Speaker, as I wind up debate, I would like to indicate that for us who are the opportunity to be in government and those who will come after us, let us not repeat the mistakes of PF, because PF has cost this country the economic opportunity for progress. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to just thank the chairperson of the committee for ably moving this motion. And Madam Speaker, let me also just say that as a villager, I look forward to
Order. I want to hear the debate of the Honorable Member from Feira. Let's lower our voices as we are doing the consultations. The Honorable Member for Feira, you may continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was saying that I look forward to flying, and fortunately, God gave me an opportunity to fly around the world and saw a number of airports around the world. Now, Madam Speaker, coming home, before the PF, naturally, I did see how Lusaka International Airport used to look. I'd not traveled for a long time, but recently, when I went there, I actually thought I was in Johannesburg. Yes. Madam Speaker, this did not come from anywhere. And even as I debate this issue of Zambian Airways and responding to some of the issues raised, if we look at these major airports, KK International Airport, the newly built Simon Mwansakapwepwe, actually it's not an upgrade, it was built from the ground. Talking about Harimwanga Nkumbula Airport in Southern Province, where the New Dawn government claims to have a stronghold. Even there, the PF government put up that new Madam Speaker, this infrastructure did not come from the talking too much that we have seen in the new era. It's because we had to work hard as a party. Madam Speaker, Zambian Airways was liquidated. Today, we are talking about Zambian Airways. It's because the PF had a vision to ensure that Zambia has an impact at the international scene.
Yes.
And I'm glad that today our colleagues have taken over to try and attempt to try and improve the airline. I urge them, I urge the government to learn and look at the plans, the good plans that we had, instead of talking about debt and so on. The debt that we are talking about, we can see what it was used for.
Yes.
Other than that, beyond even the aviation industry, we can see the massive district hospitals, the heart hospital just nearby, and several others. I don't want to go into that. Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize that as a country, we have a duty to ensure that, this country is united and moves forward. And we should be careful what we say on the floor of the House. We need to ensure that, and I agree with what Honorable Mungadu said, that we need to empower our Zambians. Not this thing we are seeing where we are looking at private, and private sector, meaning foreigners. At least if we are talking about private Zambians, we need to have our own people. Just owning a small plane has become a crime. Let me tell you, there are several people having, personal jets and all these things, pastors, and many other people. In Zambia, how do we even improve?
Order, honorable member, please don't move away from the report. Try as much as possible to discuss matters that are in the report. You may continue.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm talking about aviation in view of some of the issues that were raised. But, Madam Speaker, my point was that the vision that the previous government, and in particular the PF, had was to ensure that we boost the tourism sector. So this Zambian Airways is not being discussed in a vacuum. It's vis-a-vis promotion of tourism, economic development, people coming in and out. So it's important that we look at all the efforts that were made positively rather than trivializing what is important. Today, Madam Speaker, people arrive at KK International Airport, travel at Great East Road.
Order, honorable member on the floor. There is an indication for a point of order by the honorable member for Wengwa. What is your point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam, for allowing the people of Wengwa to raise on a very serious point of order against the member of parliament who is debating for FARA. Where he's saying that, because I think it's not even in the report where he's trying to say that it's like Standing Order 65. Where he's trying to say that here in Zambia, we are not allowed to own planes, okay, as citizens of this country. We are allowed, you can buy even 10 planes as long as you are doing a clean business. But when you are a thief, in Zambia, we cannot allow. Madam Speaker, I need your serious ruling. Are the thieves or a member of parliament in order to celebrate?
Order, honorable member for Karurushi. Let's be mindful the way we put our points of order, not in a very provocating manner. In fact, not very, but not provocating manner. It's simple and straightforward when you are raising a point of order. I got it in the beginning when you said, is the honorable member in order to say that no Zambian is allowed to buy a plane? It should have ended there. Of course, my ruling is that the honorable member who is on the floor was actually out of order.
Security wings are sent to that. Madam Speaker, having said that, my point really is that we need to appreciate the good that the previous governments have done in the aviation industry. Zambia has not started today. There is a history where we came from. Here, for instance, we ensured that we revamped Zambian Airways.
Yes.
Because we saw the need, and it was in view of the economic development that we have envisioned for this country. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I also take note that a number of investment also went into the airstrips. In fact, I'm glad that, there's talk that, notwithstanding that there's normally too much talk without action, but there's talk that, we'll do all the airstrips around the country. Even in Luangwa, I hope, I wait to see in view of the debt restructuring that has been said. Madam Speaker, before I sit down, I just want to urge the government to say that since there is this celebration, we'll be expectant to see even more infrastructure than the massive infrastructure than the PF left from the debt restructuring. In fact, we expect also Milimiu to come down.
Order, Honorable Member. Now we are moving away from the report. How does Milimiu come in the report for Zambia Airways, honestly speaking? Can you wind in a better way using the report? We value your input. Please wind up in a better way so that people will learn something from your debate. You may continue.
Sorry, Madam Speaker, I was just responding to Honorable, I will not say his name, but because it will appear as if I hate Honorable Moito. Madam Speaker, sorry, I mentioned, Madam Speaker, I was simply saying that from the issue of debt restructuring is concerned, we've been given an impression that the aviation industry will do well. Many other things will move well. And we're also expecting that, Milimiu, issues of Milimiu, Ulutoshi, we cannot do away with them. So we are expecting that the price also comes down. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah. The Honorable Member for Nakonde.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity that you have given the people of Nakonde to add a voice on this report, Madam Speaker. I would want to thank the mover of the motion, Honorable Muvika.
Order. There is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Minister for Southern Province. What is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, thank you for the occasion. And I rarely raise on points of order. And my point of order is premised on the traditions and practices of this House where we are not allowed to debate ourselves as members. Madam Speaker, I have taken note that each time I rise to debate, which is a right of every member as a member of Parliament, some members of the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front, which miserably lost elections, would rise and accuse me of debating because I'm a provincial minister. I don't have the occasion to be in the House. Are they in order, Madam Speaker, to try and use this political gimmick to stop me from telling them off because they were terrible at bad government? Madam Speaker, I need your serious ruling.
Honorable members, I think we have come in all the time just to guide the House that we should work as a team. We are all members of Parliament, and each one of you is very important in this House because you represent thousands of people out there. So each one of you's contribution is very vital to this House. So let's try to coexist. Let's work together as a team. In fact, this report, I like it very much. We are trying to come up with something that Zambia will be proud of. But if we disagree from here, I don't know what the people out there will be thinking. So please, my guide is that each one of you is very important in this House. We value your contributions. Let's work as a team. So the Honorable Minister for Southern Province is also valued in this House, together with his contributions. The Honorable Member for Nakonde will continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You'll be forgiving some of the members because I'm sure they're very frustrated because of the positions that they have found
Honorable Member, please.
with themselves.
Honorable
Madam
Member,
Speaker,
you've been called to debate the report, not to debate your colleagues. So can you please go straight to the report?
thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm here to stress the importance of infrastructure. Madam Speaker, there is a theory in this House that you cannot talk about today without talking about the past. So today, Madam Speaker, I'll join my colleagues to talk about the past so that we move together. Madam Speaker, the distant past that saw the goodness of infrastructure. Madam Speaker, the debt that each and every member on your right talk about, they have seen the infrastructure that the PF left. Madam Speaker, Kenneth Kaunda International Airport has been voted the best airport in Africa, beating South Africa, beating Ethiopia, beating all the airports in Zambia. And now, Madam Speaker, because of the frustration that some people has, they were hoping that there will be...
Order, Honorable Member, if you can move away from the mic. It's becoming too loud. Just move away from the mouth as you debate. You may continue. From the mic, sorry.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was talking about the infrastructure that the new dawn should now concentrate on. The PF did their part.
Honorable Member, we are now seeing a lot of points of order. I don't know whether we are going to make progress. There is an indication for a point of order by the Honorable Member for Mongu Central.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The member who is on the floor of the House has just made a statement which is aimed at misleading this House. He has claimed that Kenneth Kaunda International Airport has been voted the best in Africa. The fact of the matter is that Cape Town International Airport has been voted the best in Africa. Is in order, Madam Speaker, to mislead this House and mislead himself with such careless statements? I seek your serious ruling, Madam Speaker. 65, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Members, order. My ruling is that I will reserve my ruling because I have to find more information whether indeed Kenneth Kaunda International Airport is the best airport in Africa or it's not true. So I'll come back to the House at a later date to make the ruling. Honorable Member on the floor, please can you be more factual and can you stick to the report so that we avoid a lot of points of order? We want to make progress. Otherwise, I'll be forced.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
To stop the points of order.
The Zambia Airways was revamped by PF when it was privatized by unknown people or known people. Madam Speaker, we cannot talk about
Zambia Airways in isolation without talking about the airports and the airstrips. PF built, constructed provincial airstrips. When you talk about Kasama that you are talking about, it was started by PF. These are real issues. Mansa Airport. These are the things that the debts that you have been talking about, that's where the money went.
Order, honorable member on the floor. I wonder why we are trying to divide ourselves when we have a report, a single report, that is telling us the status of the Zambian Airways, the challenges and management of Zambia Airways. It's very simple. But now we are trying to politicize the report. The people are eager to hear the progress on this issue. So as we debate, please think of your people. What is it that they want to hear? Instead of saying, no, PF did this, UPND did this, can we be united? And please, let's talk about progressive issues that will benefit the people. The honorable member on the floor, please try as much as possible to be focused on the report. There is a lot of good information that the people would like to hear. Please, I think for the last time you are guided, try to be focused, produce a very good debate that your people will benefit from, and indeed the whole country, because the whole country is listening to you. Let's not divide the country.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to give kudos to the former regime for making sure that all the provincial headquarters had almost did their construction of airports, so that, Madam Speaker, the movement of goods, services, and people are eased. Madam Speaker, now that the UPND administration, they have successfully...
Order, honorable member, please try to be very specific and try to be correct as you are debating, because I've read the report. Not all the airstrips are completed of the airports. So let's try to be factual. Yes, almost is not being complete. Order, honorable members, order. We are trying to tell the nation where we are, the progress of where we are. Now, if we tell them that this airport has been completed, when in actual fact it's not yet complete, then we are misleading the people. Let's tell the people the findings of this report. It will help the people. Because if you tell them it has been completed, you are denying the people of that particular area to see the works being completed. So the honorable member on the floor, please continue with that guide.
Mr. Speaker, the good people of Nakonde now, they are expecting that there will be an airstrip that will be constructed by the new Dawn administration. Since now, they have successfully had their debt restructured. These are the things that we're talking about, Madam Speaker. We want the new Dawn administration to take a step where PF left. We want to start seeing the buildings. We want to start seeing things now happening. We don't want now, when there is a question, we are given an answer to say when the money is made available. The money is available now. So we want things to start.
You are moving away from the report. I've seen that we are not making progress, honorable member. think we'll move on to the next person. Because I've been guiding you, honorable member. Order, honorable member. I think those comparisons are not good, because I've been guiding the honorable member who is taking much of our time on the same issues that he's been guided to avoid. The honorable member for Nakonde, I'll give you the last chance. Otherwise, I'm going to curtail you if you are not following my guide.
These are the issues that our people are expecting. To see the development, to see more airports, to see more airstrips, especially in Akonde, Madam Speaker. We don't have one airstrip. So if an event like this where the date has been restructured, we need to give kudos to our friends so that we expect more work to be done, Madam Speaker. Is that political?
No.
This is something that the people of Nakonde are expecting. Yes. Madam Speaker, in my supporting the very motion, I expect the new Dawn administration to buy more planes for Zambia Airways, so that the people, it can make easy for the people to move around the Zambia, Madam Speaker, and also whoever wants to come to Nakonde, Madam Speaker, even now, if the Zambia Airways can purchase some more planes, I can even go to Nakonde and come back tomorrow. Madam Speaker, with these remarks, I submit and support the report.
Thank you. We'll take the honorable member from Bawala.
It was a point of order.
It's a point of order.
Yes, Madam
The
Speaker.
honorable member for Namwala. We just want to balance up.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Namwala an opportunity to add 2 or 3 sentences to this very important motion, which is on the floor of this House. To start with, Madam Speaker, we want to put it on record that much as we appreciate the infrastructure...
Order, honorable member. I'm picking the last point of order so that we make progress. The honorable member from Bawala, you had indicated for a point of order. What is your point of order?
Yeah, Madam Speaker, my point of order was on the previous member who was misleading the House because the Kasama Airport was fully abandoned, contract expired, and there was not even a shovel or a pick put by the previous regime at that airport. Therefore, the new Dawn government, through His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, committee members, we were at the palace of His Royal Highness, the Chief Chitimukuru. He was very categorical and clear that this work was abandoned, expired, nothing done, not even a shovel, not a pick, not one brick done. The new Dawn government entered into a new contract, renewed it, and put everything. And today the airport is finishing.
The honorable member from Bawala, order.
It's finished.
You are debating the point of order. Please state your point of order.
The breach was misleading on the talk on order, standing order number 65, misleading this House with the wrong data. He doesn't have the data. I have the data, and committee members who are with me have the data.
Thank you, honorable member from Bawala. That assignment or the response will come from the acting minister, or the minister is going to give us a response. He's going to inform the public where we are with the construction of these airports in the country. I'm sure it's indicated somewhere in his response. So let's not trouble ourselves to say that that information was not correctly put or this information was omitted. Let's wait for the honorable minister to respond to the issues. I'm sure the acting minister was also busy taking down the issues that have been brought out by all the debaters that had an opportunity to debate. So we'll wait for the minister to give us that response or information. That was the last point of order. I would urge the people that are debating to concentrate on the report. The honorable member for Namwala will continue.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, like I said before, I stand strongly to support this motion. Madam Speaker, meaning that we need to debate from an informed angle. An informed angle, Madam Speaker, is where you have the information which can be justified information that can easily be checked to counter whether indeed what is being said is correct. And once we stand on those grounds, Madam Speaker, a lot of time will not be wasted. One among other issues, Madam Speaker, when we talk about the grading of the airport in our continent, Madam Speaker, our international airport currently is not even among the best 10 in Africa. That is the information that is actually obtaining. However, allow me to submit, Madam Speaker, through you, like I said, we need to sail above board. We are not here for personal issues. Issues ought to be debated, like I said, from the angle of evenness, which is knowledge. We cannot be here to articulate issues that cannot be substantiated. So the issue of...
Order, honorable member. Is it possible that now you can refer to the report?
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, like I was indicating that the airports, the air transport is very important on the issue of cost and time. We actually urge our government, Madam Speaker, to actually go around and see exactly where these airports ought to be put. We have a lot of points in this country which can be actually upgraded or which we can actually establish or build those airports so that the people of Zambia, Madam Speaker, can be able to do their business, like I said, within the reasonable space. Apart from that, Madam Speaker, we saw it from other countries where nearly every town, not per se cities, every town, there are airports, there are airstrips. And those alone, Madam Speaker, tend to attract people from other countries to go and see exactly what is happening or why they were put there and take them back to their country. The best example we can give, Madam Speaker, is what is happening in Rwanda. A couple of cities or towns in Rwanda, Madam Speaker, will find actually airstrips that are actually to the standard of what we would call in Zambia international airports. Why are they doing that, Madam Speaker? It's one of attracting people to visit their country. That, of course, falls under tourism. And it's our appeal, it's my appeal, that what is being recommended in the report, Madam Speaker, ought to be put in force. Of course, it has to move with the current cash or monies that we have in the country. But with what has been indicated in the report, Madam Speaker, we shall always endeavor to support it and urge the executive to come up with plans on how they can actually implement what is there, Madam Speaker. With these few words, Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the last two. The honorable member for Mufulira.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. Today, Madam Speaker, we are discussing the operations of Zambian Airways, which indeed is a very important factor in the development of this country. Madam Speaker, the story of Zambian Airlines, even South African Airlines. But because of the minds that were there at that time, who could not think beyond the challenges that the institution was facing, thought it wise to liquidate it, which was a very sad situation. But today, first of all, I want to thank the UPND government for carrying on where the PF left by ensuring that this airline we are talking about now, Zambian Airways, which was incorporated in 2018, took to the skies in November 2021. Indeed, governance is a continuous process, Madam Speaker. But I want to thank the PF because it was through the PF government minds and vision to build the economy of this country that today we are talking about Zambia Airways operating. It started with the formation of the IDC, Industrial Development Corporation, in 2014. And the mandate of the IDC is to ensure that the industrial capacity of this country is developed. We are talking of a good story of Zambia Airways today because the PF laid the foundation. And I'm just urging that where we are now, we need to see Zambia Airways achieve what we should have achieved 20 years ago in terms of taking command of the skies of Africa and also the skies in Zambia. Madam Speaker, we cannot talk about Zambia Airways now without the platform on which it operates, which is the airports. Today we are talking about debt restructuring, and people have been questioning politically, where did the debt go? Madam Speaker, without that debt that we are talking about today, could we have the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport in its form? Could we have the Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe in Ndola in its form? Could we have the Harimwanga Nkumbula in Livingstone, Southern Province, in its form? We cannot, Madam Speaker. And sometimes people hear politics to say, where did the debt go?
Honorable members, let's not debate while seated. Let's give him chance to continue with his debate.
Madam Speaker, today people question where did the debt go. When I read the 8th National Development Plan, Madam Speaker, and I would urge people who have not read it to find time and read, the 8th National Development Plan developed by the current government. Madam Speaker, you see the praises that have gone to the construction of these airports. And today we are talking about tourism being one of the anchors of industrial development and job creation, because the 8th National Development Plan being implemented by this government acknowledges the importance of the airports that were constructed by the PF government. We cannot talk about developing tourism without having functional airports that we have now. And for that we need to acknowledge what the PF did. The borrowing that we are talking about, it's there for everyone to see. It's there even in official documents of this government that because of the beautiful airports that we have, we are now going to promote tourism. We are going to create jobs in the tourism sector because of the beautiful airports and even our Mlungushi Conference Center, the new wing, Kenneth Kaunda. It's part of the circle that we are talking about. So let us not trivialize. Governance is a continuous process, and the PF did its part. That we must acknowledge. Madam Speaker, now when we talk about the future of Zambia Airways, the previous speakers spoke about what will cause people to use the airline is to travel. To travel for what? To travel for business, to travel for tourism. If we have to sustain the operations of the Zambia Airways, industrial creation of companies, job creation is key. If we want people to travel on Zambian Airways to the Copper Belt, we need to revamp the industrial base of the Copper Belt. Mopani and the KCM need to be revamped. People will use the airline to travel to the Copper Belt to do business. Without industrial development, we will stifle the growth of this airline. Even in the tourism sector, the Northern Circuit, when we talk about developing tourism in Mfue, tourism in Rwapula, tourism in Northern Province, we need to invest money so that people can fly into there. It's very costly, Madam Speaker, to spend 7 hours, to spend 5 hours just on the road to go and reach Zambia. But if we have the airport in Imansa operating, it's very easy for the airline to fly there. If we have the airport in Zambia, we must take these infrastructures closer to where business is happening. And that is the task that this government now has. Let us not just look within the infrastructure that is there. With this debt restructuring, which has been an excuse for many of the developmental projects, we expect greenfield investments. Let us take an airport to Zambia. There should be no excuse. Let us take an airport to Nakonde. People travel a lot, Madam Speaker, for business, cross-border traders. And to avoid them spending 12 hours on the road with those buses, let us take the airport there. We now have the capacity. We have money that we are saying money has been freed. So let us drive that investment to the sectors that we have identified. Madam Speaker, without continuing with the infrastructure development that the PF started, it will be very difficult to open up this country. And one of those is the airline. So we need to look beyond what is happening now. And even the industries that exist within this sector. We have read in the report, how should we be taking the maintenance of this aircraft to Ethiopia when we have our own aircraft maintenance engineers trained at ZAST? They are here in Zambia. And what do, Madam Speaker? They are actually hired to go and maintain these aircrafts in Mukushi, in the farms, and those owned by these.
This person has been at the Ministry of Works and Supply before and is well pressed. Madam Speaker, I want to place it on record that we value the contributions from the Honorable Minister for Southern Province, who has been this August for House for many years. And those of us who started with him are very proud of him. And in our view, he could have been sitting there.
Order, Honorable Member for Chiwangandu, please don't discuss the Honorable Minister for Southern Province.
It was on the lighter moment, Madam Speaker.
Let's focus on the report.
Madam Speaker, your reports bring very interesting insights insofar as the aviation industry is concerned. And what I would urge honorable colleagues in this August House is to see how we can support recommendations that are contained in this report by acquainting ourselves with the contents so that we speak to them meaningfully. I was sitting here, Madam Speaker, having gone through the report and listened to some of the contributions that were coming out away from the report, and I could see that we need to do a little bit more. My starting point, Madam Speaker, is to thank the committee for the tours they undertook, local tours, to assess the status of the local infrastructure in the aviation industry. And in their tours, they included the tour of Kasama. And on page 12, Madam Speaker, so that it can help even as you do a ruling, there is a report on their tour of the Kasama airport, which they did. And in their report, they're saying Kasama airport occupies about 1,080 hectares of land. And with regards to the status of the works, they are saying the works initially started in 2014 by Anui Swin and Zambia National Service. Due to the passage of time and escalation of costs, the contracts were terminated. However, they were initially re-entered into the works, and the works by both contractors were at 60% complete. The original cost of the contracts was 144 million and 104 million respectively. And 104 million had so far been paid out towards the contract. The committee was further informed that both contractors were expected to finish the works at the end of June. I don't see how the talk of shovels would have arisen if this report was read for what it is. So, the works at the Kasama Airport, Madam Speaker, not to stress you, even looking for the facts of the ruling, were contracted in 2014, and so much of work was done. So what I'm just trying to emphasize is that government is a going concern. You as government will start certain works that won't complete. Others will come and complete. And that at a high cost, without comparing with anything, is really off the mark. So it's important that as we debate these matters, we are realistic. Madam Speaker, the previous government was as strategic as other governments. If you look at the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, we knew it was going to be at a higher cost. How do we maximize the potential? Minister of Health came in and put up a modern specialized hospital just next, meaning that other people from the region could be coming for health services, land at a proper airport, go to the hotel and access the medical health. They call it health tourism. There are so many citizens who have been going to India, Madam Speaker, every year at a huge cost for that we have as citizens.